Yeah, my first question is for Jaco. Your last film, Gaia, it had like a very striking kind of visual language. It was like this ecological horror theme. What drew you to the world of Orion? Like, did you approach your storytelling any different from like it's kind of like organic terror with Gaia versus like more of a cerebral tension with like a sci-fi type of
Yeah,
element?
it's interesting. I mean, the project that I kind of are part of developing, and sometimes projects come my way that I find intriguing and I want to be a part of. So there was something in, part of the developing process of Gaia. I also made a film in between called Breathing In, which was actually one location. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to figure out this trend that's following me in terms of limitations of locations. Um, Drew and them approached me with the first draft of the script on the back of Gaia, and I find something really attractive there, and the issues it's tackling, thematics, um, also the challenge, I guess, of making a two-hander, one location, two location, and how
Mm,
to make it cinematic as a challenge. This may be something in my theater background that I kind of like or gravitate to these kind of very strict kind of boundaries in terms of rules of what you can work within. I mean, Gaia was basically a cabin in a forest.
hmm.
Second one was just one location, and this is obviously two location.
Right.
Um, so I think it was the thematics. There was when I read it, I could see images coming to mind. So there was kind of that drew me to the project at first that yeah, wanted to be a part of this. I also watched Drew in, previous work and, for instance, Last Survivor, and I thought his performance in that was really great. So yes, and then when we got to Andrew McCarthy, obviously, we felt like we had a chemistry, and that chemistry obviously had to carry a film because it's basically two people talking.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I hope I succeeded in making it cinematic, uh, keeping not tying everything in neat little knots, but kind of keep enough there that the audience is one step behind, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I just kind of like the world. I'm not the total sci-fi geek, but I do like the world of science fiction where you have sometimes different rules that you can work with, different kind of speculate on different kind of realities. And obviously, in this case, you have a sentient being that kind of can overcome the problems we have with fake news, truth communication in a way because it vibrates on a different frequency.
Right.
So I found those kind of thematics quite interesting. We were just talking about, when we started the project and what was kind of actual at that time, and then only a year and a half, and it's even more actual in the
Yeah.
thematics.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it's like, 18 months. It's just how fast things are moving at the moment.
Wow. So, I mean, with the film centering around like an interrogation, which is, it's almost like a very confined space between two minds together. How did you approach kind of staging and pacing to kind of maintain like it's this level of tension but intimacy in that dynamic? Because I think that, the casting really like the chemistry was very, very good.
I think, first of all, I approached this with, I mean, obviously I had certain images in mind, but I approach it in my mind performance first. So, just a simple example, the majority of Andrew and Drew, oh wow, Andrew and Drew, in the Madeline room, it's almost like we would in the morning kind of block the scene and have physical kind of motivated movement that fits within the story and it's motivated.
Okay.
And then I will have a technical flaw, and then me and the DP would talk how we would follow them or capture them. And I found this way for me worked because it forced them to have a structure, but also within that structure, they could really react and, off each other. I didn't do it with some of the other stuff. I had more kind of clear kind of, like storyboards or way the camera would move but for those, I was more concerned of the performances and the chemistry between them, and then let the camera kind of follow them. So that was a distinctive kind of decision from my side. And hopefully that worked. And I guess in the same way with Debbie, we keep on talking about me and Andrew, but we somehow, Drew, we forget about Debbie's character as well. There's the same kind of double play there.
Yeah.
And again, it was for me about performance first, and let the camera then follow them and find them. And then I
Absolutely.
just wanted to say, within this kind of more claustrophobic kind of locations, to still tease the audience, or to have that kind of juxtaposition between that and that there's something behind it,
Hmm.
above it, beyond it, galactic or space even. So to have that kind of immense space, but then also this confined space, and that kind of push and pull between these kind of spaces, hopefully keeps that tension in some way.
Absolutely. And Drew, I mean, your character is kind of trapped in this almost psychological puzzle of identity and whatnot. And what was your process for, getting inside of the mind of someone that may not fully know himself?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. It's my process, I think, for this was different than anything I've done before, just because I I was worried about, I think, weirdly, the truth of it all, and like
Okay.
and wanting to like and be honest in every moment when my character's not honest in every moment. And
Hmm.
so um I'm very much I like audible cues. So I'm very much somebody who likes, I need to I like to hear things. And so I have little tricks and things that I do that can kind of like hone me in. I like to journal as the character, and then
Oh, that's
I
nice.
record it all through um voice notes. And so I just listen to those, and I don't know. It works for me. I feel like it just kind of puts me in the headspace and in the state that I'm in. And a lot of a lot of them are meaningless. Other ones are deeply personal. Other ones are to your wife, to your mother, to your kids, whatever it is. Um, and so I just didn't want to get like lost in like the minutia of all of it. I feel like as long as I had um, like the meat and the crux of where, who Apollo was or who Nathan was. I knew as long as, I could kind of communicate those things to Jaco, we would be all right. Because, we had a lot of conversations about, like he said many times, just not getting too in depth with like the layers of it all, and not making it feel stale by playing a lie within a truth. So
Right.
Yeah,
So,
just sometimes when you try and you play amnesiac that doesn't really have, or you start putting all those layers. It For me sometimes within this context it starts muddying the water.
hmm.
So there's sections that we says, okay, this section you have totally memory loss. That's what you play. So that's just kind of to kind of root it in structuring it that way. Obviously, consciously knowing that what is the subtext underneath that. But I think to kind of in a performance to play all those layers, it sometimes really muddies the water.
So if you could pose one question to your character of Apollo, something that he might never get answered, do you know what it would be?
well, I mean, I think for me it would be, who are you now?
Okay.
Just because I think a lot of at least what I gravitated towards and what I saw Apollo as, or Nathan as, was this identity that he had tied himself to for however many years of existence. And being a scholar, being a linguist, being somebody who you know have been fascinated by people that can speak fluent and freely in 20 25 different languages. I mean,
Mhm.
is there an air of like is there an air of arrogance to them? Is there a bit of like, I'm smarter than you? Is there a bit of, I have a way of seeing the world and communicating that you don't, but it just has made me like, is there levels to that? And then it brings him back to, we're all equal, and I see the world differently, but it doesn't mean I'm better. And so I played a lot with the idea of like identity and how, we all have these identities, and are they real? Are they genuine? Did you come up with this? Or, is it this kind of like amalgamation of what other people have said about you, and images of yourself that you're like, yeah, I am this person, and this one I like, so I'm going to stick that here. Oh, no, 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 I'm not that way, so I'm going to let that one go. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like this whole identity that he's created, and now that he's kind of been forced to confront some of that and see the world for um what it is and what it can be. I think he had this naivety that things were going to be different, and that maybe there was going to be a little heroism on his part, egoically, for the discovery, and that was my discovery and my life's work, and these are things I did, and this is who I am. And so I think my question to him would be, who are you now?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So, I mean, now that Orion is kind of making its festival run and everything, what are you kind of both most excited to see in terms of how audiences might experience and both, lead to discussions about the film as well?
I think I'll go first, Jaco, real quick. I think for me, because now I've seen it a few times. I think for me, what I'm always curious about is the little things that you can pick up on throughout the story that upon a second watch you see a little clearer. So I'm always curious, asking people, did you pick up on certain things? And or I'm always loving having conversations with people who are like, oh, I noticed you did this, or the filmmaker did this,
Mhm.
or I saw this little Easter egg here and it kind of led me down this rabbit hole. So I like those conversations.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. I mean, it's just such a, it's one of the biggest kind of science fiction film festivals in Europe, I would
Mhm.
say. And the audience is, it's like, so it would be interesting. We play tomorrow night to see what the questions is and what comes up afterwards. Um, I think for me, what I want people to walk away with is to really keep on trying to figure out or talk about it. Um, trying to, I mean, a comment is there is no absolute truth, which I believe in this day and age we live now. Um, and I guess here as well, it's like it's something that you actually have to watch twice to see where was this manipulated, or you know, I don't want to give too much away of the whole structure and how we're going to
Yeah,
structure the deception, but I would love for people to talk about it and to really try and discuss the thematics of it. Um, hopefully enjoy it as well, and be provoked. Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's definitely one of those films that is worth a second watch. I know even in research, I've kind of went through it twice and you do pick up on other things and just as a final question for you guys, we are seeing kind of a resurgence of that, almost emotionally grounded sci-fi. It's more where do you see Orion fitting in that landscape? Like, because it's a lot of character development as well as like you have this other aspect to the side that's a character within itself.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I don't know. I think we've all seen the really grand um science fiction
Mhm.
stories. We've seen those movies. We've seen that scale of things, but we don't always get a little bit more contained, a little bit
Exactly.
more personal driven, a little more like flaws in characters and things like that. It's a little bit more um grounded, I guess, is what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. I mean, I like that. Some of my favorites were always the ones that are a little more grounded. Obviously, there are some great ones out there, but I'm excited for that because I think that there's a lot of different kind of avenues you can go with telling stories like that. It doesn't always have to be you know, on another planet in
Right.
another in a multiverse with you know all these different things happening. It can be much more contained and much more grounded and still almost based in reality and things that we can relate to and what we go through as you know as humans.
Absolutely.
Yes, what it is to be human, and in a way, the alien is kind of a catalyst for that
Mhm.
debate. You know, are we going to weaponize it or whatever? But so it's taking a different route. It's not about the enemy of or the creature that's going to attack. It's there as a catalyst of seeing through you, or kind of vibrating on different frequency to kind of see what is true and what is not true. So it's actually about it's less about the alien. Both parties want to kind of weaponize it or kind of have it for themselves, but yeah, so I do like that it's kind of provoking more about what is it to be human than what it is to be an alien, or the fight of us against them. It's the humans that actually want to weaponize it,
Right.
uh, like what's happening in the world right now as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me today. I think audiences are absolutely going to love the film, so it's definitely going to lead to a lot of discussion.
Thanks,
Thank
Kristen.
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Have a wonderful day.
you as
You too.
well.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.